Banfield from Cole Newport on my top list, at the top of my list, first on, is what I was trying to say. Gordon Smith on, good evening from a dark, soggy, and blustery Denmark. Well, it's wintertime here, or nearly so, in the Northern Hemisphere. Good night, Tom, Julia, and the Fozy. Greetings from Melbourne. Big news, Alistair Murray and co. have sold the company to a big international concern. We'll talk some more about that, not today, but in due course. Get Alistair on to explain it all to us. Congratulations, Alistair, on the sale of Ronstan. And Joe Holtzman in Estes Park, Colorado. Graham Sweeney, who will be our guest on Friday, saying good evening from Scotland. Pedro Foiling Sailor from down under Sydney, normally. Fog Machine from here in the land of the Apex Summit as we get this one across the starting line. Show number 661 for Tuesday, the 14th of November, 2023. Sorry we didn't have a show for you on Friday, and we'll talk some more about that in a moment. Julia, we're here from the Studio B once again live from Studio B here in San Francisco at the Beach Street Yacht Club in the beautiful Marina District, where as a couple people mentioned the APEC. What does APEC stand for?
Asia Pacific Economic Council.
And who all is here? Prime ministers, presidents, and so on. We'll talk some more about that as well, but it's creating quite a mess here in town, except they have cleaned up some of the mess. Just for this conference. We can't get it to clean up for you and me or other citizens, but when VIP dictators come from abroad.
But this may be a great lesson in how to do it. So I'm a bit curious about it.
They can't hear Julia. Speak up, Julia. No, don't touch your mic. Just talk.
Oh, I can't hear myself in my.
See what's wrong with Julia's mic? Talks. There. Oh, push your button, Julia. You got your there. You just let it up and talk.
Now I'm talking.
Yeah, you had your cough switch on. So tell us some more about what does APEC stand for? You were just saying.
Asia Pacific Economic Conference.
Conference?
I think it's a conference.
And it's the PMs, the presidents of the various countries around the Pacific Rim.
20 heads of state, sort of, and 15,000 of their favorite friends. Yeah,
a big group, but they've cleaned the city up, as we were saying, hopefully. Yes. And you say you're optimistic because that means they know how to clean it up in future.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they leave it cleaned up and keep it cleaned up?
Well, that's the whole point. If we can do that.
One can only hope. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, thanks for telling us that Julia's mic was off. I couldn't hear it in my little earbud because I can hear out of my left ear right across the studio. And I wasn't watching the meter, but Julia, you had your cough switch on.
And my chat stream is not on.
Well, that's your issue. You got to click on the right button to get that up. I can't do that for you. Let's carry on here. Now, getting those preliminaries out of the way, if you'll support us, please, via patreon.com. This is viewer-supported media. We much appreciate your help. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. A lot of you have already done that and continue to do that. Give us a few bucks a month. It helps keep us on the air. Thanks to also, not only you who are patrons, but also to Hamish Ross, who was our guest a week ago today. Last Tuesday, and he came on talking about classic yachts. Dr. Hamish Ross, a terrific show. I've already gotten some content, as the kids would say, some content from our Fozy Rick Bannerow about classic yachts at Indian Harbor Yacht Club, which we shall run on Friday's show, courtesy of Rick Bannerow in Long Island Sound. So thanks for that, Rick. But back to Hamish, he showed us some pictures and videos of his famously cool yacht, just celebrated its 125th birthday, Rainbow, and a couple of the other boats we talked about in that classic fleet down there in Auckland, down in New Zealand. Good stuff. That show got knocked off the air after the air. It got knocked off by YouTube because apparently we played a video from one of Classic Yacht video that used some music that was copyrighted. And I haven't had time to dispute that or edit the video, but it is still up on Facebook. If you go have a look at it on the Sailing Illustrated Facebook page, because it was a terrific
Yes, absolutely
show.
beautiful old boats.
They were. And quite an inspirational discussion, I think, for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe we'll talk some more about
What means what? Yeah.
not just about you and me being classics,
Yeah.
or some of the others on here. Thanks, Hamish Ross. That was nice. Remembrance Day, you've all celebrated that in the last few days in Europe and the Commonwealth countries. We celebrate Veterans Day here. Concurrently, Veterans Day, originally known, at least here, and I think in Europe as well, as Armistice Day, is a federal holiday here in the States observed annually on the 11th of November for honoring military veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. It began and now coincides with other holidays, including Armistice Day and Remembrance Day in Europe and beyond, which are commemorated in other countries, marking the anniversary of the end of World War I. Major hostilities of World War I were formally ended at
the 11th hour
of the 11th day of the 11th month, exactly right, of 1918, when the armistice with Germany went into effect at the urging of major U.S. veterans organizations. Armistice Day. I remember when it was called Armistice Day.
So do I.
I do not. I was born in '53. Renamed Veterans Day, but I think a lot of people still call it Armistice Day here.
Mm-hmm.
People of a certain age, Julie.
Yes. Like Memorial Day.
Well, Memorial Day is a different kettle of fish because Memorial Day is to memorialize, is to remember those who died in battle, right? Gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice. And that's kicks off our unofficial summer at the end of May. Is that the end of May? Yeah, end of May. Last weekend in May normally. Yeah. Last Monday in May. And then Veterans Day, which is Armistice Day, has been in November, coincides with Remembrance Day and the Red Poppy.
Yes.
We used to go to London to the IYRU meetings, then ISAF, and always was the first week of November.
I didn't know that. That's a nice
and we
thing.
always put on our red poppies to be in solidarity.
Yes, indeed.
With the folks there. So that's Veterans Day. I hope you all had good celebrations of that, as I did on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As I told you, we skipped our show, not because I put that comment up saying we were off gallivanting again, but we had gone to Michigan. All my siblings had gathered there. My brother came in from Hawaii, my sister from Germany, to celebrate my mother, who's not in great shape. She's a super fozzie, but struggling a bit. So we decided to have an early Thanksgiving in Michigan with my beloved mother. And it was not a hoot, it was a gobble. A lot of the clan, we got the extended clan, siblings and spousals and kids and great grandkids and great grandkids.
Yep.
All joining my mom at my sister's farm, the Firesign Farm. Sister Ruth, where is she in that photo? I don't see her in that photo. She's there maybe she's not. Oh yeah, I should go over to camera 4. She is above my sister. She's above my mother to the left up there in a white kind of a hoodie and blonde hair. Yeah. And Sister Ruth is a saint because she's been taking care of my mom, who is effectively in hospice at my sister's farm. Mm-hmm. We all did the farm chores while we were there. That's always part of the fun.
That's good for you.
Well, I don't know if it's good for me, but I did not participate in some of these things like milking the cows. But the farm life goes on when we're there. Yeah. And I was finally shamed into doing something because, Tom, you don't like, I said, I'm in charge of videography and taking photos and not in charge of doing barnyard chores. So I finally got shamed into doing it. And it was, since my name is Tom and my birthday's around Thanksgiving, Tom the turkey is going to lead the turkeys back into the turkey pen. They're let out during the day to eat whatever they can eat throughout the barnyard. It's amazing how all these animals get along, the dogs and the cats and the God knows what else. So I was told that it was my job Tom the turkey was to lead the turkeys. I said, they're never going to follow me. I don't have any food. They don't know me from Adam's off ox, as they used to say.
Yeah.
And my sister Ruth said, no, just go ahead. They'll follow you. Trust me. And I gobbled a little bit. Let's go. Where's my bucket, Ruth? I need a bucket. I thought I needed a bucket with some feed in it, but didn't even need that. Watch this. I haven't had so much fun in a proverbial coon's egg, Julie.
Yeah, I know.
I'm such a prissy boy. Spoiled rotten, Julie Aarons is saying. You're right. Peter Taylor, the border collie. They followed. I don't know why, because I had nothing. They didn't know me. And I'm getting instruction from Ruth's son, Peter, among others.
Mm-hmm.
And they followed, my utter astonishment. Tom the turkey, leading the turkeys.
As it should be, of course. Yeah.
And then we don't have a video, but after that, then I let the goats out and led the goats over to the goat feed. That was fun. Pulling the birds, Graham Sweetie is saying. Excuse me. Now you can see Ruth's got the feed bag over her. I guess there's a lot of corn. And of course, those of you will know that these turkeys are all spoken for, at least all but the babies. There's some babies, I guess, in there still, but they will all be meeting their maker in the next couple of weeks, leading up to our Thanksgiving, which is Thursday, the 23rd. There's the feed bag. They lost interest in me immediately and went for the food.
That's great.
Okay, Julia. So
yeah.
I told you I'd play that.
Yes, that's good.
And I did, as humiliating as that all is. Now, I also went over to the Portage Yacht Club to check things out. That's what it looks like in the summertime. As you know, I've played some videos on here before. It's a 200-boat marina on the south end of a big, well, it's the biggest lake in the area. It's a tiny lake by comparison to probably where most of you sail. Summertime at Portage Yacht Club in the 200-boat marina there on the upper.
That's a good picture.
Inset in the upper corner. Well, this is what it looks like after the docks have been, or most of the docks have been removed. The boats have been, because it all has to come out because of the ice. The ice gets a foot, sometimes 2 feet thick, and then the ice in the spring, when it starts to melt, starts to blow around and move around. So they actually lower the lake level. There's a dam that keeps the lake level, and they let a lot of the water out of the lake about this time of year, creating a mud flat all around the lake. But more importantly, in the spring, when it starts to melt and the wind starts to blow the ice around, it doesn't blow it up onto the front lawns of the houses and cottages. And literally, in the old days, they used to move the cottages right off their foundations, hence this video. From yesterday morning here at Portage Yacht Club, no flags on the pole, the dock's on the beach, the slide is pulled in out of the swimming area. These docks will stay in because they will let the water down. They'll open the dam up and let the water go out, and this will all be mud flats through the winter, starting at the end of this month, prevent ice damage to the cottages next spring when the ice starts blowing around the surface of the lake. It's a chilly but beautiful day here on Portage Lake near Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ciao for now. Well, that was yesterday morning, and it was, I don't know, probably 40, 45 degrees. Not too, a pretty nice day, pretty nice weekend. We had a great, bright, sunny, three days of weather. Came back last night. And no, those turkeys are not fuzzy. I would not insult the rest of you by calling those turkeys fuzzy. My beloved mother, as we said, she's in great spirits and doing okay, all things considered. That's our really super fuzzy. She likes to make a contribution to the show, even though she's not rich by any means, but she contributes as well. And her nickname is Jan Dav. Her remarried name is Davis, so the kids have all shortened it to Jan Dav. She and my dad used to race in the 16-foot Rebel class. Rebel because it was a design right after the war, 1948, that was one of the first, in fact, it was the first popular class built in fiberglass.
Oh.
And you can see it's kind of a round-bottomed, bathtubby-looking boat. In fact, it's 700 pounds
Huh?
Today, you'd build that boat and weigh 150, less than 200 pounds. But it's a very popular class. You can see over 4,000 have been built. This is at a lake over in central Michigan where they have a big fleet of these. We don't have any at our lake left, but the R on the sale, the Rebel class. And it was this class was first in fiberglass, according to the manufacturer and history in our country, at least. The Snipe, the Lightning, they were still in wood when the Rebel took over, and then the Flying Scot and a few others. They didn't really take over, but a lot of people moved to it. And my mom and dad actually won at this same lake where this picture was taken. They actually won the national championship in the Rebel class. There were 60 some odd boats in 1964 at Clark Lake Yacht Club, and it was frankly it was the end of their marriage. They won. They sailed pretty well, but it was apparently there was so much tension in the boat. My mother said, "I'm never going to sail with that SOB again." But they were good, and she was a hell of a good crew. She sailed with me a bit after that, and she sends her love and greetings to all of you. She prepared this sign yesterday morning before we flew back here to San Francisco. Big hugs to the Fozy. Love from Jan Dav. Mm-hmm. There at my sister's farm. Wanted me to show that and give you her warm regards, all of you.
It's a great picture.
She likes to watch the show. She sometimes these days watches it in replay when she's not sleeping through it. And she, her theme has been her, what do you call that, Julia? Her
motto.
Motto, that might be the right word. When you stumble, make it part of the dance. That's also my sister Ruth's theme. So we think of her. And if she's watching, Mom, thank you very much. It was an enjoyable 3 days together with the fam. And my sister Ruth, you are a saint, Ruth.
Yes.
Saint Ruth for the job she's doing, taking care of my mom. And her kids actually throwing in too. A couple of her sons are helping there at the farm. Yesterday, or is it today? I think it's actually today, is the 75th birthday of His Majesty King Charles. I want to wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
I guess they cut the cake at is it High Grove? Is that where he's living? He and the Queen Consort. Courtesy of independent TV. So happy birthday to His Majesty. And as Julia mentioned at the top of the show, here in San Francisco, our crime-ridden streets have been cleaned up for the Biden G visit. They're inbound, if not already here, and they will be meeting tomorrow. Is that right, Julia? Yeah. Biden and G meet tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Here in it says there on November 15th, President Biden, I'm not sure what they're going to decide, if anything, but
nothing.
It plays well back in their home politics and their home countries. Xi back in China, obviously, and Biden here in this country. Tomorrow, also, Julia, tell us about this.
Ah, yes.
What is this?
This is a time-honored tradition. Actually, for marking the big game between Cal and Stanford.
The big football game.
Yes, which is started in 1896.
And that's played this weekend.
And that's playing this weekend. And it will be played at future weekends, but for the last time as part of the Pac-12.
Pac-12. But the point is, tomorrow's the big sale hosted by St. Francis Yacht Club between the Cal and Stanford sailing teams. And it's not just the varsity teams, it's also a women's team, although the Stanford team is largely women these days. I mean, they're very good. They're national champions, but also 2 alumni groups. And that will be going on tomorrow, starting in just 11:30-ish. Stanford University, the esteemed Stanford University, where, Julia went there, among other people. And Cal, Berkeley, the public school across the bay, University of California, Berkeley, which that regatta takes place all afternoon tomorrow, right out in front there of St. Francis Yacht Club. Mm-hmm. Julia, what's this?
Oh, it's the house flag. It's a house divided between Stanford and Cal.
And you get what? You get roughly half and half there in the
Yeah.
dining room. Big
Mhm.
turnout. The dining
Yes.
room's turned over. We watched the racing from up there.
Right. But the big thing is that both bands show up and both sets of cheerleaders, and it is raucous.
That's out on the race deck where we normally watch the racing. In fact, people will be out there if it's a nice day. I haven't seen the weather forecast. Then it is raucous because indoors in the main dining room upstairs at St. Francis Yacht Club, filled with people in red for Stanford and blue and gold for Cal Berkeley. There is the cheerleaders. The both marching bands come in and play. You talk about raucous, but it's a hoot. That's a lot of fun. Both the Stanford and Cal bands come in. The sailors come up and are honored, recognized. The winners are celebrated. There's commentary, and it's one of the best things in this part of the world in our beloved sport. The racing taking place tomorrow, starting. In fact, it's going to be live streamed starting tomorrow at 11:25 Pacific, which is 19:25 UTC on the St. Francis Yacht Club's YouTube channel. If you care to look in. Julie, anything else on all that?
I only in sort of an aside because everybody wants to have both bands or even one band for an occasion like this, and we've always had both bands come, and people keep saying, "How does that happen that you get both bands?" And the secret is we feed them. Nobody else does. Those poor guys are going 12 hours a day during big game week, all different places. But we feed them.
Well, and this is not the only sport that is the intra-university sport. The big football game is Saturday, but the other varsity and, at least those that are in season, the varsity and club sports all play each other. Fencing, I don't know who they all are, but a lot of different games are going on this week around the Bay Area between these two unis, not just sailing. Right? Now, Julia,
Right.
I've got one other thing apropos all of this. I have a correct or croutonic.
Okay.
Because a couple years ago, I helped put you into somebody's car to go over there. I think it was in the year that up until the last couple of years, this thing was always on a Tuesday. So I was hard pressed to get over there. But a year ago, 3 years ago, maybe now, Julia.
19.
It was 4 years ago,
Yeah.
pre-pandemic. You showed up looking like this. Is that what you're wearing tomorrow?
Of course.
And what is this?
Oh, it's an oddity from the Stanford bookstore.
Well, from the Stanford bookstore, I have to ask the Posey if this is correct or croutonic. How long have you had those shoes?
Not very long, and in fact, just before I wore them there, and they were on sale for $9.95.
$9.95?
Yes.
Oh my God!
But I think it's because nobody else bought them for a long time. They were on sale.
Who would wear those? They're croutonic, Julia.
Oh, only on
They're
big
croutonic.
Game. They are, but big game is about the only time you can wear them.
They're fantastic for the big game. I'm teasing. They're absolutely correct. Mark Curtis says the best of taste and fashion for sure. Julie Aarons, Ohio State versus Michigan is soon. Yes, that is Saturday the 25th. Julie, in Ann Arbor, Baton Rouge says they're correct. Jonathan Frank, they all agree with you. They look like ribbon candy, Hanfield is saying. At what time, Stingray wants to know, what time do the cheerleaders go live? I have no idea. I have no idea.
Oh, before, during, and after lunch.
Yeah, I assume they're live streaming the racing, which goes on all afternoon. They'll probably cut away to a camera inside. I'm not involved in that live streaming, thank goodness. I'm going to come over to your table and relax.
Good.
And enjoy. And I'm going to look at your shoes. I'll take a picture. Maybe I'll live stream your shoes, Julie.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's it kind of for wrapping up what's happened in the last week. I told Julie before we went live, this was going to be one of the most eclectic shows we've ever done, covering the waterfront on a lot of different topics.
I had a hard time looking at that picture and deciphering what it was. It looks like a modern painting, but not anything to do with.
But this painting?
Yeah.
This picture, that's our theme. That's our cover shot for today. That's
I know.
Star Sailors League. And we're going to cover that in some detail in a moment. But back to the comments, Julia could make sackcloth look like Versace. Graham Sweeney
Graham,
is too
how
kind.
nice.
John Hanfield, the Army-Navy game at Patriot Stadium Saturday. Yeah, we all have these rivalries. You all have your rugby rivals. We covered that the other day. The Rugby World Cup. Great shoes, Julia. Ted Ryman is saying. Okay, let's carry on. Get to John Emmett's report. John sends his regular report. He says the days are short. It's getting dark early. Barely has time to film his videos, but he did again today at the family farm. Have a look.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to Timberhorn Farm. It's just getting progressively harder to film these because the amount of available daylight is definitely on the way down. I mean, that's probably a good thing for Tom because it means by definition I have to film earlier, which means all being well, I have recently bought a new computer, etc. All being well, I get the recordings to him much quicker for the show, so probably that buys him a little bit of time. We've actually finished the last sailing event of the season, the domestic Ilka event, so that's why I'm spending a lot more time here at the farm. And I said available daylight does seem to be getting quite small, and this is perhaps when I always hesitate to use the word motivation. I think it's when the word discipline comes in, because maybe you have to run in the dark or go to the gym in the dark or sail in the cold or get on a plane and, you know, have a whole load of jet lag to carry on your training. So yeah, the winter months have come. And I was chatting to Lily the other day and, you know, maybe she wants to move to Australia. So perhaps I should talk to Alistair about that. Doing 2 summers in 1 season seems, yeah, a very good idea. But anyway, yeah, I'm here at the farm, and in terms of coaching, I was going to have a little chat about communication. And I hope with these videos over the weeks, the months, the years, they've gradually got better and better. It's still a very strange thing for me to be looking straight down a camera lens. And I do feel very impressed with the young sailors when I'm interviewing them, that they perform so well in front of the camera. And I know a lot of children's entertainers or stuff, you know, you could stick a toy hedgehog or something to make the camera look a bit friendly, because now I'm using the longer zoom. I mean, it's a long way away, and it's really important to stay still and just to get the message across. And that's what I'm trying to do, whether it's media, I'm introducing the fantastic personalities, whether it's Mickey Beckett, Matthew Wern, Marit Bauminster, Amory Ridham, you know, the names goes on, or whether it's the instructional videos. And that's something I really want to focus on with my coaching. I said recently been working on the Ilka book and thinking really hard about what makes it easy for people to get around the race course. How do you set up the rig for the beginners? And this is an ongoing process, and I feel every day I'm learning. But for coach and a sailor, communication, it's a two-way street. And I think that's probably why, in terms of picking your coach or for coach to decide which team they work on, it's about a good fit. It's really about, you know, is that communication working? Are you supplying what's needed? And different people learn in different ways, and different people communicate in different ways. I can have very similar messages to talk to my sailor, to talk to my wife, and to talk to my mother, and to get a good result, I have to deliver the messages in 3 very different ways. Sometimes, you know, you need to be hard and direct. Sometimes you need to space the message out. Sometimes you need to wait for the sailor to come to you. Sometimes you just need to deliver it in the quickest possible way. But one of the most important jobs as a coach is the communication. And I often think on my drive back, it's actually not what I've said which is important, it's what the sailors remembered. And one of the best coaches for me, and I really encourage you to read his autobiography, I think it's called The Blue Suit, was Jim Saltonstall, because I just remembered what he said. And he came through what I will biasly call perhaps the golden era of British youth, when you had, you know, Ben Ainsley, Ian Percy, Bart Simpson, Edward Wright, Paul Goodison, myself, all coming through at the same time. And Jim was the one who taught us. And, you know, his talks on ferrets are legendary. And I recently attended another one of his talks, and it's almost like I knew it word for word, because his delivery was so good, I'd remembered it all. So today's topic is very much about communication, and that's not just for sailing, that's for real life. And it's one of the reasons I enjoy the show so much is actually the comments and the banter between the fozy. And I find it quite hard to listen when I'm driving because I like to be more involved, and I almost have to force myself to watch during replay because I just don't feel there's the same environment there. So as always, I'll do my very best to join you on the show.
Yeah, I totally agree with them. Doing the show live with all the fozy on here, reading the comments,
Yes.
seeing the interaction.
Fun.
It's so much more fun than watching it in replay. Plus, I hate looking at myself.
I know. I'm always.
Emmett always makes such great summaries, comments, and then
Yeah.
summaries. And he's talking about Jim Saltonstall. If he said the name very quickly, and I met Jim back in the late 70s when he was head of the British youth stuff. He'd take the kids to the World Youth Championship in the UK, and an awesome coach. He was a Royal Marine, I think. He was a retired military officer from the UK, and he was very shipshape, but he was also fun. He always had a smile, and he was tough when he needed to be tough. And I'd see him go over sometimes and pat a head, kick before kicking the kid in the butt. He'd pat him on the head, or both.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling John Emmett's the same way.
Yeah.
But Julia, what do you think? We could all move to Australia.
What a good idea.
What a good idea. So
Yeah.
Alistair's saying he'd welcome them. I'm sure they'd welcome anybody.
Oh yes.
It'd be great to live in Australia.
I almost did.
Well, you're such a fan of Australia.
I am.
Bill Canfield's on talking about Jim Saltonstall. He must be 100. I don't think he's that old. He was pretty young when he was doing that. But maybe he's 80, Bill. I don't know. Okay, John Emmett, thank you for that. John Emmett Sailing, get to the front of the fleet. Another terrific report from our coach in residence.
Now, doesn't that look like a modern painting?
It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool photograph. Why do you think I chose it?
You have such a good eye.
Well, you know what? I hope I do. I try, but I spend way too much time finding the cover photo.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw this. I know what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about SSL.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lead the program with the topic that has the best photo, not because it's the most interesting topic.
Yeah.
Arguably, you could talk today about the Transat Jacques Vabre.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really find any good photos.
Yeah. Well,
And the photo I'll send you of the Ultim that won. But when this photo popped up, I said, okay, we're going to make SSL. Even though they're only in the kind of round they've just completed the round of 32, I think it is. And they're going into the round of 16 here in a couple of days. We'll tell you some more about that. But speaking of the TJV, that was Stardust Interruptus. They were supposed to start on the 29th, and the only fleet that really got well and truly underway were the big Ultims, the big trimarans. And they took off, and the other fleets were either held up, the IMOCAs were held up in Le Havre, and the 40s and 50s ended up going back into Lorient because of the horrible weather in the North Atlantic. It's not the first time, but they all hung out there for the better part of a week, and now they're en route. And I'll give you an update. The Ultims, which did not get delayed, which sailed through the madness, and they're quick enough to get through the madness before it really it assaulted what would have been the slower boats behind them. And they have finished largely, not all of them, but they have finished, and you will see the winners there on the pecking order. And to not too many people's surprise, Banque Populaire 11 win the Ultim race in the 16th TJV. And we'll cover this more extensively on Friday when we have more to talk about it. But in the other three fleets, who are, they're well and truly on the way, and some of those courses were shortened, but the Ocean 50s now are closing in on Martinique, the finishing point there in the Caribbean. You can see there the Solidaires and Peloton has a nice lead, has a 123-mile lead, so it looks like they are the winners, or will be, and short of some disaster when they close in on Martinique. They will be the winners in the Ocean 50. The Class 40s, Groupe SNEF, SNEF. Isn't that the French National Railroad?
Yeah.
What is SNEF? But they also have a lead, but not nearly as comfortable, only 23 miles. And look at how tightly grouped that whole fleet is.
Ooh, yes.
Third place, only 26 nautical miles back. 28 to IBSA. They're Alberto Bona in fourth place and so on. So they're pretty tightly bunched, and that should be an interesting fleet to watch as they approach Martinique. Now, the IMOCAs, well to the north, but charging along, Justine Metro is leading, not by a lot, 30 miles, and they are well spaced out. There's quite a bit of space between those boats that are off to the west. And Thomas Riant, who was a favorite, is in second, and on down Charal, whom we thought would be perhaps, they were the early favorite, Jeremy Bayou and Franck Camas in fourth place, and on down. There's a bunch of those boats, and we will update you on Friday. But in the meantime, here's today's report.
The whistling wind and the ambience of a washing machine. This is the daily lot of life aboard the IMOCA boats racing in this 16th edition of the Route de Café. And the wind gets on the sailors' nerves at times. So Chris, what's going on? Aren't you happy with the wind? I'm never happy upwind. We go left, it turns right. We go right, it turns left. And in the face of these sometimes complex weather situations where strategic decisions have to be made, some people have a sense of humour. Well, we got a bit carried away earlier on, but now it's getting better. Let's call it a day. In the Ocean 50, Solidaire en Peloton is still in the lead, having passed the symbolic 1,000 nautical mile mark before the finish. In the IMOCA class, the fleet is still led by the Teamwork duo. It is spread over more than 900 nautical miles. And while to the north the leader is widening the gap on his pursuers, to the south the match remains tight. We had a great night aboard Paprec Arkea. It was stimulating in terms of speed contests. And we've got them in our sights this morning, just ahead, in For People's sights. After a week of repairs in Lorient, Tanguy Le Taquet and Felix de Navacelle returned to racing. In Class 40, the choice is between North and South. Group SNEF regains first place. In the Ultim class, the Edmond de Rothschild Maxi is expected to reach Fort de France Bay at around 5 p.m. Martinique time, in a bid to climb onto the third step of the podium.
Okay, there's the daily update. They do it both in English and in French. Pretty good video, pretty good wrap-up.
Yes.
And we'll have more for you on Friday. We'll give you a more full update when there's, we'll see how the three fleets in the back are shaking out and who else has finished in the Ultims. In the meantime, Fog Machine is saying it's SNCF is the railroad, not SNEF. I wonder, somebody Google for us, would you please? What is SNEF? Group SNEF. I like the name. Fritz Miller pointing out they still have a long way to go. Indeed they do. Indeed they do. And it's going to get rough for those boats out. Well, it's going to get rough for the fleets. There's another weather system coming across from what I read this morning. So we shall see how those boats, particularly those out to the west and the north, how they do going forward this week. Julia's favorite photo, again, the golden boats. Those are RC-44s that have been modified, right? That the so-called Star Sailors League, the SSL Gold Cup, and that's why they're gold, of course. So here's our report on that. This thing got delayed. It's been a long time coming. That is the SSL Gold Cup. And it's been touted for years now as our sport's own World Cup. Finally, like football, meaning soccer in the 1930s and rugby in 1987, the SSL Gold Cup is designed to crown the best sailing nation of all. The world top 56 countries selected on their SSL Nation ranking, they have a pretty good ranking system, will battle their way through to raise the coveted and only Sailing World Cup trophy. The SSL Gold Cup will start on May 19th with the qualifying series in Grandson on Lake Neuchâtel in Switzerland All teams ranked from the top 25 to 56 in the January. This gets very complicated. In the January 2022 SSL Nations ranking, will meet in 8 groups of 4 teams each. There will be 5 sessions. If you can understand all this, you're better than I. There will be 5 sessions of the qualifying series from May 19th to the 17th. That's obviously all behind us. After 3 to 4 days of racing, only the top 2 teams of each group, of which there are a bunch of groups, I'll show you that in a moment, will go through to the final series that will take place in the Canary Islands from the 10th of November through December 3rd. So that's the phase that we are actually in. And here is their teaser video, the best video I've been able to find on this series so far.
Minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I guess the Football World Cup, is not too much of a lot of countries involved. It's the biggest collection of nations in a regatta, other than something maybe like the ILCA. Tell me, John Emmett, if you get more countries involved in one of your events, probably do. But in a big boat regatta with 4, 5, 6 people, I can't remember how many are on the cruise, there are fully 56 national teams that are going through this series.
It's amazing.
And that's good. And I think it's good for the sport. Bravo Zulu to them. You can see here now they're down to the one. They've just completed the 132nd, the round of 32, and they're down now to the round of 16, starting in 2 days' time. You can see Austria, Chile, Malaysia, Estonia, I didn't rehearse this, obviously. Finland, Hungary, Tahiti, Bermuda, who's on one of my slides here, Republic of South Africa, Portugal, Croatia, ANT must be
Antilles.
No, I think it's Antigua.
Antigua,
I think it's Antigua. I'm not 100%. The boats are supplied, Jonathan Frank, so they do some swapping. Slovenia, Lithuania, Canada, Japan. That's who's in this round. Now, there's some seeds that have already gone forward based on prior performance and how they all stacked up in the rankings. You can see that in the round of 8. The U.S., Argentina, Poland, Brazil, Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, and France are already through to the round of 8. And then, as we mentioned a moment ago, 2 from each of those other groups go forward. You can see first and second. So it's, even if you don't win the group, you still have a chance to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go into the quarterfinals from there, and then because it's knockout, but still not entirely knocked out because top 2 teams go. You can see already seeded also are Great Britain, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, Australia. Too bad they're in the same bracket, but they are. Italy and Spain. And then by then, you'll get the semifinals and the finals here in the early part of December. The description that came out with all of this in the last few days for the lowest seeded teams in the 2023 SSL Gold Cup, 16 national crews competed in these SSL 47s. They're the Russell Coots. They're the RC 44s that have been lengthened a bit. One designs on November 10 to 13 in a knockout format, which advances the top teams to the next round in the Canary Islands. Surviving this round that they just completed, as we mentioned, was Bermuda, plus Estonia, Lithuania, Malaysia, Portugal, Slovenia, must mean Slovenia, South Africa, and Tahiti. Also, Chile and Antigua, it is Antigua, and Bermuda were awarded lucky loser places, keeping them in the game, so there must have been some sort of a wild card slot as well. As I said, it's a bit complicated, but at least they're doing it. Everybody's learning the first time through, and we're learning about the event as well. And this, which was my cover slide number 3 today in the show, This is Bermuda. the famous Kemp family, and others. Say one, two, three, four, five, six. So the 7 people. The 8th, there's a person up there behind the jib. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 8 people on the boats.
It's a lot.
So it's a lot. There's a big expense involved, and I'm glad to see it is finally happening. It got delayed by COVID. It got delayed by a few other apparently fiscal things, but it is going on. And the next round is the 16th through the 20th, and they're in the Canaries, 16 to 20 of November, as Bermuda has advanced along with those other teams. Bravo Zulu to them. Lots of comments. David James. Let's see. What are other comments here, Julia?
Curtis says there are 9 on board.
Are there 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there are 9. Well done, Curtis. Thank you very much. 9 on board. Replying to John Hanfield, when there was Admirals Cup, SORC, Kentwood Cup, one could arguably talk about a world championship circuit. AC is sort of an irrelevancy except for nostalgia. Yeah. Replying to Clark Chapin, it is the 1/8 finals, which is 16 teams, just like the quarterfinals is 8. Yep, thank you for that. Hanfield, it's great because it's not run by World Sailing. Good point. World Sailing could never pull something like this off, but they have endorsed that it is a sanctioned event of World Sailing. So I guess the racing, Curtis has said, has been very close, and we shall, lengthen by the sprit. Correct. Thank you, Baton Rouge. And there's Marcos Feinstein is on. Hi, Marcos. So we'll continue to follow that. It's going to gear up here over the next few days, and we'll report again on Friday. Hopefully they'll give us some video, Julia.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't. A video is worth, if a photo's worth 1,000 words, a video's worth
10,000.
10,000 or more. Okay, that's Bermuda. We talked about this before, whether these uniforms were correct or Crutonic.
I like them.
They're obviously soccer-esque, football-esque, with the knee socks. I'm not quite sure what the bloody knee socks are about, except to make them look like a football/soccer uniform. But I like the colors. I like what they're doing, and I hope it works. I hope it is a huge hit and gets great television and brings a lot of countries together and helps promote our beloved sport.
Yes.
Right, Julia?
Yes, indeed.
There's your cover shot again.
Yeah, I know.
Who are those teams? Anybody ID those teams? I can't ID the teams otherwise. LHV on the boom. Don't know. Somebody will have that for us. This day in history. Do you know what happened on this day in history, Julia?
Only because I peeked.
In 1851.
Right.
And who's this gentleman? You know what happened, but you don't know who he is? Yes, you do. Herman's his name. Herman Melville.
Oh, yes.
The American writer, 1819. He was born to
yes.
1891. He lived a pretty long
Really
life, 70 years.
Yes.
72 years. And, of course, he wrote
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
It was really earlier than I thought it was.
Yeah, you were thinking when we were going through the
Yeah. It was in the
pre-show, it was in the 30s, 1930s. But it was back, coincidental with the America's Cup. Melville, the American writer renowned for Moby Dick, the epic story of Captain Ahab's mad quest to harpoon the white whale that took his leg. This book that owned by far more than have read it.
Yes.
Sort of an awkward clause there.
Yeah.
Many more people know about it than those who've just read it. And even known for its length and difficulty, has since been considered one of the great American novels. Notably, much of Melville's oeuvre revolves around the sea, and Melville himself was a sailor, first on a merchant ship, then on a whaler. He jumped ship in the summer of 1842 while in the Marquesas in French Polynesia and spent a while in the area with his friend Richard Tobias Green, who jumped ship with him. His first book, Typee, was based upon his experiences during this time. Moby Dick, the whale. Apparently I'll read some more here in a moment, but it was not critically acclaimed. The whale, Moby Dick, and I thought it was a venereal disease. You can shake your finger. You're shaking your entire. No one's ever gotten their whole hand shaken at them.
So bad.
It's a good joke. I know it's a little bit of a seventh grade joke, but
Yes,
that's
it
what we all
is.
said when we were in seventh grade. It must be a venereal disease, Moby Dick. So here's some more detail. The 1851 novel was released in 1851. Yeah, the whaling ship Pequod, a couple of you got that. For vengeance against Moby Dick. The giant white sperm whale, Julia.
Yes.
That bit off his leg on the ship's previous voyage. I skipped down there. Its reputation as a great American novel was established only in the 20th century after the 1919 centennial of the author's birth. Faulkner said he wished he'd written the book himself, and D.H. Lawrence called it one of the strangest and most wonderful books in the world and the greatest book of the sea ever written. And apparently it was a commercial failure, as you see up above. It got mixed reviews and was out of print. But its opening sentence, "Call me Ishmael," is among world literature's most famous. Why is that? Call me Ishmael. Would you start a book saying, "Call me Julia"?
No.
Call me Turkey Tom? Moby Dick was first published by Harper and Brothers in the U.S. on this day in history, 14 November 1851, a couple months after the first edition of the American Cup boat race. The next, Gordon Smith's. You want to read that comment, Julia?
No.
The next book was called Spotted Dick, the inspiration for that famous English pudding. Come on, that's funny. You got to give Gordon credit for that one.
I do.
That's the best comment of the show. I thought the movie Jaws was better, Stingray is saying. Well, Jaws was okay. It's funny to go back and look at Jaws and some of those movies of that 70s,
Yeah.
60s, 70s, and they look so dated. Just not the computer graphics are not nearly as good. Replying to Clark Chapin, but Billy Budd in the 8th grade, a big mistake in the curriculum. Oh, yeah. I read it at school. The President's Award, which goes to the end. Okay, what is this? There's an ointment for. Okay, I don't know. You better stop while we're behind here, Joe.
I know.
All right.
Yep.
What about what's going on in the America's Cup? Well, not a lot. There's some video. They keep releasing these videos about the Kiwis having problems down under, about this team having problems here, about the city of Pensacola trying to build this new $15 million facility in Pensacola for American Magic, hopefully having it done before American Magic goes back after winning the Cup. That's the news story down there, but it was in the Pensacola, tell me what, Times or whatever, behind a paywall.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't, I couldn't access the article. So if it's behind a paywall, I'll be damned if I'm going to. Well, so what's going on in the Cup, Julia? I'm going to hit a button over here on the soundboard. What's going on? I think Pindar knows.
Oh.
I think he knows, and a couple others know. Stingray may know too. But there's not a lot going on other than crickets. There's something going on, as we mentioned a couple shows ago, with the ARP panel. That's our AC 37 blessedly brief Cup date today. Any comments from anybody on all that besides ointments? Call me Pedro, a fantasy in my... Pedro, at least you're alive after suffering a nearly fatal heart attack in Mexico at the Ilka Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Good day. Oh, sorry, I'm late. Hi, Jody. What time is it in Sydney? 8:54 a.m., almost 0900. Yeah, T6 broke its rudder structure again. That is, I didn't mention that, Alex, but the Ineos team is having problems with their boat again. They're just, that's just strange. They're just having a strange.
Langley's back in Barcelona.
Who is?
Langley.
Yep. Well, maybe that's a sign of what's coming or not coming to Jeddah, because they were training in Jeddah, remember. AC 37 Cup date, blessedly brief, as we said, gets us through to the last leg. We're going to be under an hour today. Last leg, a couple things. First of all, going on in that beautiful city. You recognize that city, Julia? In Spain. A fog machine, so you can call me what you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
Yeah,
that is Malaga.
Oh.
And they in fact are hosting the 2023 World Sailing Annual Conference this week, bringing together delegates from around the world to help shape the future of the sport. I'm getting the impression that World Sailing is doing a much better job under their new CEO. They're quiet, yeah, with the Chinese influence by the president, but I'm not so sure that's a big problem. But David Graham, who's the CEO, the British gentleman who's taken over, seems to be doing a good job leading the over 300 delegates, volunteers, committee members, and the World Sailing Board and Council, which has convened from the 13th yesterday through the 18th later this week to review and discuss world sailing strategy for the coming year and beyond, making and ratifying key decisions that will impact precious few of us, but will impact sailing at every level. Yeah, right. From elite professionals to recreational sailors. Not much impact except on the Olympics. Delegates include sailors, event organizers, MNAs, member national authorities, committee members, class associations, boat manufacturers, athletes, and representatives from World Sailing's partners, partner events, staff. Bill Canfield, GP, stealing AC Thunder and interest, Sail GP. Yeah, I think you're probably right. John Hanfield's making a political comment about the America's Cup. It's a good comment to read. Magic is testing, that is, American Magic is testing the new systems for the coming boat using Patriot, Stingray is saying. Yes. Marcos Weinstein remembers what other, remind us, Marcos is saying, what other regattas are happening in Barcelona next September, 12 meter other. I think the 12s are racing there. I think the J boats are racing there. There'll be some other boats that will fill in, Marcos. Lovely wedding photos from Jody Shields. Congratulations, Jody. Weddings are marvelous. Ted Ryman identified Malaga. It's a beautiful town. I love that town.
Jody's other comment, the year of the Shields girls' marriage is over, and now he's going to get back so he can buy his beer.
Well, good. And we're pleased to report John Emmett has the breaking news right here that the Rolex World Sailor of the Year is Tom Slingsby. Congratulations, Tom. That is great news. That is breaking news right here, right now. I was expecting to hear from another one of our Fosies who is there. The female Rolex World Sailor of the Year is Kirsten Neuschafer. Bravo Zulu to her. Well-deserved, both of them. Clark Chapin is saying precious few. I think, yeah, but Clark, the rule book affects all of us, but yeah, okay, but that's done at your level, Clark, more than it is done at the world sailing level. Any of Patriots, Kielson, and Stern look. Congratulations on that turkey roundup, Commodore of Gobble of the Gobble Yago. Thanks, Philip, laughing. So yeah, that's what's going on in Malaga, beautiful Malaga. Just look again at that town. That could have been the venue for the America's Cup as well. So there is the report, except that is a photo from about an hour ago before with the world. That's that gala, the ISAF Awards Gala in Malaga. That photo courtesy of Andrew Pindar, who was there, obviously, sent that along, and we had the breaking news. So thank you to John Emmett for the news about Tom and Kirsten. That is great news. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one other here in the last leg. I didn't play this on Tuesday's show last Tuesday's show, because that show ran 2 hours without me playing this video. I do want to recognize a lot of you knew him, a lot of you knew of him. Buddy Melgus at the National Sailing Hall of Fame down in Newport Beach a week or so ago was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's long since been in the hall, but he passed away here in 2023. That documentary is out. I haven't seen it. Several of you have. I've been pinged by several of you about how good it is. Who was seeing it? I think Rick Banneros saw it the other night with Dave Perry and Dawn Riley at one of the clubs in the Northeast. And I will redouble my efforts to get the director, producer on here and do a show with that documentary, even if it's a private showing, one way or another, so that all of you can see it without having to go to a yacht club here in the States. But in the meantime, this documentary, Gary Jobson produced this to recognize Buddy's achievement over a lifetime of achievements in the sailing world, and I thought we should play that here and now. Buddy Melgus, National Sailing Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award.
Buddy Melges is one of the top American sailors of our era. He won a gold medal in the 1972 Olympic Games with crew Bill Benson and Bill Allen. In 1992, he was the helmsman with Bill Koch's successful defense of the America's Cup. Melges was a boat builder, sailmaker, great sailor, and to many sailors throughout the USA, a teacher. His book, Sailing Smart, offered a pragmatic approach to winning races. He grew up sailing scows in Wisconsin in the summers and racing speedy ice boats in the winter. In all, Buddy won 60 major national and international championships, including winning the Mallory Cup 3 times. He was named U.S. Sailing's Yachtsman of the Year 3 times as well. He also won the Star Class World Championship in 1978 and 1979. Buddy's credo was to get a good start, pick the best wind shifts, and stretch your lead.
Growing up on the lakes in Wisconsin, you almost can read the water as it comes to you.
He suggested, to win, you need to present the boat to Mother Nature. And most importantly, you need to sail the boat quicklier.
You can have an inch of water up on the deck and you're quicklier.
More quicklier.
More quicklier.
When asked if quicklier is an actual word, Buddy said, it is when you're winning. It wasn't only smooth sailing for Buddy. In the 1964 Olympic Games, he was disappointed with a bronze medal performance in the Flying Dutchman class. He was determined to get a gold medal, and did 8 years later. In 1987, he gave the America's Cup a worthy try aboard Heart of America, but did not reach the semifinal round. At the age of 62, he teamed up with Bill Koch and defended the America's Cup in San Diego aboard America Cube. Australia's winning America's Cup skipper John Bertrand described Buddy Melges as, quote, the finest sailor America has ever produced, unquote.
I think that my greatest pleasure that I've ever received from sailing is to see somebody who I maybe helped succeed.
The Wizard of Zenda. 1930 to 2023, we did a tribute to him some months ago. And again, the comments coming in here, Julia, that Fog Machine saw it, that documentary we were talking about, saw it at St. Francis. He said it is indeed pretty good. And Alistair down in Australia saying, Buddy once told me that Zenda, Wisconsin, where he, Lake Geneva, is so small, the local prostitute is a virgin.
Yeah.
Does that get a finger wag or not?
Oh.
And I guess that picture we showed a minute ago from the back of the hall is Pindar getting an award for the Magenta Project. He's on their board, and I think has become
how well deserved is that?
one of the leading lights. So great tribute to a great man. Yeah, he was, and with Elstrom, and I'm not sure who else has passed away. That was, there are lots of people who passed away. Bill Pinkney's was good. Yeah, Mark Curtis. I may play that on Friday or maybe next Tuesday, that as well. But who else? Coots, Bertrand,
both
some top sailors, but Melges and Elstrom have got to be right up there. Connor certainly, and then who else in our lifetime? Yeah, in our lifetimes.
I would say Tom Blackhaller, but he's too short.
Well, too short, and he didn't have quite the same level of achievements that these guys did.
Yeah.
I was blessed to have stayed with Buddy and Gloria. This is Pedro Fighting Sailor. Yeah, he sent us some pictures for our tribute to Buddy a few years back. May he rest in peace. Harry C. Buddy Melges, the Wizard of Zenda.
He has such a nice smile. You just really love to talk to him and give him a hug.
Well, he was just, and he was a truly nice guy. I was sailing in the E-Scow Blue Chip as the mystery guest.
Yeah.
And the first race, I think I was DFL or nearly so.
Yeah.
Second race, I think I was third. Third race, I was leading. He's out. He's coaching me. He's out in his duck boat. He had a little aluminum boat that he'd go out to shoot ducks in or whatever. Little motor on the back of it, 10 horsepower motor.
Yeah.
Tom, heel it over a little more. Don't heel it over quite so much. Move your weight for it, do this and that. And now we're winning. After the third race, we're winning the third race. Wind comes up. I get to the leeward mark, and taking an E-scow, rounding it up, is if you turn too fast, the thing capsizes.
Right.
I turned too fast, and we capsized when we were leading the race. And we had a Peter Harkin was there too. We had a few beers over that night.
I should think so.
Great character, favorite guy. Yeah. Okay, whiskey, Tango, Fox, Trot, Julia.
Oh yes.
Here we go. Speaking of turkeys, speaking of Thanksgiving, this from Ted Ryman. Fine flights to Mexico. The turkey dressed up in a sombrero. Mm-hmm. It's that season, I guess. Then just before air, this one came in. Dude, I have a ton of online followers, and they all want to have me over for dinner.
Oh.
Now, that's from an Australian.
Yes.
You know, that's Greg Phillips.
Yeah, that's
celebrating our Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, Julia, you can get your finger shake ready for this one.
All right.
You'll like this one. Caption contest. You want to do the caption? Huh?
No.
Maybe she is pansexual. That was sent by a Fozy who asked not to be identified, so I let him off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, this one came in. I like this one a lot. We haven't done a drinking one, this being the drinking show with a sailing habit. Whoever told me to leave my car at the pub and make the bus take the bus home, turns out I was in no fit state to drive that either. It's like the old story about taking a taxi home, but take a bus home. That came from Ryman. Ted Ryman also.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sent that one in. Okay. The finish line, just Julia, your witness.
Yes. Please like, follow, and share the good news.
Yeah, comments are welcome, even in replay. We appreciate very much your support, especially those who give us a few bucks a month via Patreon, patreon.com/join/sailing illustrated. It is what keeps us on the air. That's quite a spoon. Fritz Mueller was saying about that pan, I think. That was a good caption.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure we had that one before or not, John Emmett. Sometimes I run them, but Bannerow agreeing. Great job, Andrew P. Well deserved for that award. Hanfield saying that Ted Turner in his prime was amazing. That is true. He certainly was. And considering what all he also achieved, given his sailing exploits.
Yes, indeed.
And Connor won Star Worlds twice. He didn't win the gold in the sailing. Maybe. Oh, you're talking about Malgus. Connor won a bronze. I think it was a bronze or a silver. I think it was a bronze in the Tempest class, if memory serves, in 1906 in Montreal. The games were in Kingston, if memory serves. Thanks again to our Fozy. Thanks to all the others who give us images, audio, and video for these shows. Julia, final thoughts? Hour and 8 minutes. You're looking at your watch. Can't believe it.
I was just thinking that you said it was going to be quick, and it was.
Yeah. Well, that's because I was on a plane yesterday afternoon. Flying back. I didn't get back here till late, and I just had time to promo the show and do a couple other things.
But it was good, and it had lots of different stuff in it. So,
well, it's the Fozy that make this show. I think Emmett is right. It's the back and forth with our Fozy. Hobie Alter might have touched more people. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have touched perhaps more people. Yeah. That's a point. But
and Hobie was one of them.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us. Somebody's saying the feed has dropped out. I'm seeing a bit of a problem here in the feed at this end. I wonder if our internet has dropped out. Regardless, we'll keep the recording going, and just a reminder that on this coming Friday, we've got Graham Sweeney. Graham Sweeney will be our guest on Friday. He's going to have a photo and maybe video, but for sure photo show for us. We're really looking forward to having Graham with us live via Skype from Scotland. Julia, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you Friday. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, have fun. Ciao for now. Feed dropped out. Bye, guys and gals.